Good morning. Welcome to Brookings. My name is Bruce Jones. I'm the Vice President and the Director for Foreign Policy, and it's a pleasure to welcome you for today's event, co-organized by our Center for the United States and Europe, together with our long-standing partner, the Turkish Industry and Business Association, TUSIAD. TUSIAD is a key institutional partner for us, and their support and their collaboration over a number of years has been instrumental in making our Turkey work possible. And I'm delighted to be joined by several friends and colleagues from TUSIAD today, most importantly, their CEO, Bahadur Kalasu. Thank you so much for being here today. TUSIAD is not only our partner, but a very influential voice in Turkey's private sector and one of the most prominent civil society organizations in Turkey, with a long track record of supporting participatory democracy and a competitive market economy, issues which are, of course, crucial to the debate about Turkey's future right now. Their mission, I believe, in many ways mirrors our own and our values, and so it's a natural partnership, and I'm also extraordinarily grateful to TUSIAD for their constant respect for our independence and recognizing that the value of Brookings is in the independence of its scholars, and their respect to that is much appreciated. Today's discussion is going to examine the evolving dynamics of Turkey, Europe, and the United States and the relations between them. For the United States, Turkey has been a close ally and a strategic partner for 7 decades, and for a long period of time widely considered to be a model of a rising, modern, democratic, Muslim-majority country and ally. Of course, now Turkey finds itself in a very difficult period and a challenging neighborhood, and dealing with instability on all flanks. In recent years, the success of Turkey's economic rise and the structural reforms in the early 2000s were made huge progress, but I think have been countered now by a number of more significant negative developments, including weakening of the rule of law and deteriorating democratic process. And today, with the country's EU ascension process in profound question, I think, and its transatlantic commitments and liberal democratic credentials in question as well, we appear to be in a place where Turkey looks to be altering its orientation away from the West. It's not the only country doing that. One of the things that we are watching in the international system, fueled by economic uncertainty, fueled by migration, fueled by fear of terrorism, fueled by questions about the balance of power, a number of countries are beginning to look at alternatives to the West in their models, both in terms of commitments to the rule of law and in terms of where they look for international support. And we've seen that in elections across Europe to differing degrees in both Central and Western Europe, and not Europe alone. All of this at a time when there are tensions in the relationship between the United States and Turkey, most notably around issues in the Middle East, in particular differences over Syria, PKK, and related issues. Despite all of this, it seems to me that the United States and Europe still have huge strategic interests in continuing their effort to keep Turkey anchored in a Euro-Atlantic community of shared values and interests. This is a tricky and difficult time for that, but of no less importance as a result. It's a case, by the way, made very eloquently and very passionately in an important new book by Kemal Kirishi, our TUSIAD Senior Fellow here at Turkey, and who will join us on stage shortly, who has just published this, Turkey and the West, Fault Lines in a Troubled Alliance, which strikes me as an awfully timely and well-crafted book. And Kemal will speak to these issues on the panel today. Before I turn things to the moderator, I want to invite TUSIAD CEO Bahadur to offer a few introductory remarks and to, again, express my appreciation and thanks to you and your team. So with that, Bahadur.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time today being with us. 10 years passed, Ambassador. 10 years passed since the launch of the Brookings TUSIAD program. Since 2013, we have enlarged the scope of the program to constitute the US-Turkey program. The Brookings Turkey project, under the coordination of Professor Kemal Kirishi, is productive with panels, analysis, publications that stimulated debates on topics of relevance to US, Turkish, and transatlantic relations. The independent and bipartisan thinking and debate at Brookings are crucial for the success of the program. I extend my thanks to all our colleagues in Brookings for their impressive intellectual and organizational contributions. Today, we will discuss common challenges encountered by Turkey, the EU, the US, with specific focus on the future of international order and globalization. Well, as the fourth industrial revolution begins to take hold around the planet, the process of societal change and democracy are going through stages of fluctuation, as was the case in every other industrial revolution. The first one triggered the democracy of taxpayers, the second one, democracy of people, the third one of the middle class, and now the question is interesting and open. This 4.0 version of industry and technology and society is being quickly uploaded into our daily lives. But there is an algorithmic problem with coding the dynamics of a new, sustainable, and inclusive development, thus of a better democracy. The dialectic evolution that we are in, unfortunately, has several adverse dimensions as well as beneficial ones. Innovations like quantum computing, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, biotechnologies, renewable energies, they all have the potential to lead to smarter lives, smarter cities, smarter government, to more transparency, direct democracy, and public security. However, the globalization's perceived velocity by many people triggered a sense of economic insecurity, enhanced by social polarization and post-truth political debate. Any items in the list of remedies from inclusive growth to better governance remain too conceptual for the taste of an increasingly populistic public debate. And our topic of today is certainly affected by this. As to CUSE, we have been living the last 10 years also in ups and downs. In the last year of Turkish history, as a business community, we have been coming to the foreground of the public debate, asking for, as usual, but with change, of course, substance, more and better democracy in Turkey, better economy, and better relations with the West, and particularly with the European Union. Better democracy for us is a really well-functioning constitutional order with separation of powers, zero prisoners of opinion or politicians under the pressure of the judiciary system, and also, and certainly, a country of freedoms, thanks to which we can be a country of democracy, but also creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship, and social responsibility. The European Union process is very important in this respect. We know that future of Europe debate is very important also for Turkey's future within the Western world and also in the European geography. A geography that is likely to be determined more and more by a variable geometry concerning circles of integration, multi-speed Europe with different circles, eventually maybe, of course, with a core Europe, federal European zone, surrounded by a confederal larger circle where Turkey also can find its place, provided that it fulfills the criteria of democracy, of the European Union, but also more alignment with the single market rules. Many problems are also valid on the relations with the United States of America. The US-Turkish relationship has also sunk to a new low point. Differences in priorities and threat perceptions in Syria, disputes over multiple judicial cases in both countries, in addition to the deterioration of Turkey's image here in Washington, and anti-Americanism in Turkey have weakened ties. However, the historical perspective is important. It has been 150 years since Turkey dispatched its first ambassador to Washington. As Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu writes in his forthcoming book, it has been over 70 years since USS Missouri sailed into Istanbul, signaling Turkey's entry into the emerging Western alliance. Since then, this relationship has endured dramatic ups and downs, but has always recovered. That is because a strong partnership serves the national interests of Turkey and the United States and strengthens the larger transatlantic alliance. The recent decision over the issuance of non-immigrant visa demonstrates that any one of the disputes in the relationship could quickly escalate into a real crisis. Therefore, the resolution of these disagreements has become more urgent. There is unfortunately mutual mistrust and even a degree of mutual contempt in Washington and Ankara that needs to be overcome. Strong political will, which appears to be absent in both capitals at present, is required to be reloaded as a genuine partnership. The situation is not sustainable, and therefore the business and policy communities need to encourage leaders, policymakers, and legislators to continue engagement, to try to compartmentalize at least some of the disagreements for the time being, and to seek compromise on the others. This must be done in recognition of the essential nature of this relationship and the fact that it is too big to fail. It is too important to fail, too important for the interests of the US and Turkish citizens, too important for the Western values and interests in that geography where Turkey has a central role in this Euro-Asian axis, too important to fail for the Western values. Thank you very much.